Now, as I said before in my previous video when I was talking about the vice presidential debate, I mentioned how potentially Hurricane Helene, and as well as the response by the federal government, may potentially sink Kamala Harris' campaign. Well, considering the fact that, well, she is the vice president supposedly, and she is the front runner for the Democratic Party, yeah, I would say that I still stand by that conclusion, and it doesn't really help Kamala Harris, especially what she's been doing for the last couple of days. Not to mention the very fact that she only is giving out $750 to families who are being affected by this disaster, and with Secretary of Homeland Security Mayorkas actually saying some potentially damning stuff. Now, let's go back to the entire situation. Kamala Harris, after Hurricane Helene went through the area, affecting the states of North Carolina, Georgia, as well as South Carolina and Tennessee and Alabama, well, where was she at this very particular stage? She was at first in Washington, D.C., but then decided to head to California for a fundraising opportunity. I don't know why she decided to go with that. I legitimately do not, because even in regard, here's the thing as a leader, people even when you have a little to no impact in regards to search and relief efforts, you're expected to be there and at least give the appearance that you are in charge. At least in that case, that people will show you're trying to be very attentive of the situation, and you're actually trying to give more focus and trying to provide as much help as possible. That's what a real leader does. And that's honestly I would say that's a moral thing to do. I mean, again, you're the leader of this country. I mean, in this case with Kamala Harris, she's the vice president. But considering the fact that Joe Biden's out to lunch, I mean, just look at his speech up in regards to the situation with Hurricane Helene. I mean, he sounded like he was dying at that point, especially with his coughing cold. But I'm digressing. She is nonetheless the front runner, the nominee for the Democratic Party. She is also the second in command in the federal government, the vice president. And what does she do? She goes to a fundraising event in California, instead of going to places like North Carolina and Georgia and Tennessee and Alabama. Now, I do not expect, of course, Tennessee and Alabama to flip. But even if you were taking the whole issue of of the appearance of a leader, or even then, with morality, you would still think politically I should probably be in North Carolina and Georgia, because in this current election cycle they're considered battleground states. And while she has been focusing on Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan for the most part, it's not too much of a surprise that she may need to potentially flip North Carolina or Georgia, maybe even both, as a means to try to deny Donald Trump the presidency. Honestly, I do not expect that to occur. I think that Georgia and North Carolina, especially after right now, are in the bag for Donald Trump, but I'm digressing. Nonetheless, that at least serves a good political opportunity. But again, she goes to a fundraiser. And it doesn't help with the fact that her campaign gave this weird, basically showed this weird photo of her supposedly talking to Governor Roy Cooper as well as FEMA in regards to the situation in North Carolina after Hurricane Helene came in and wrecked everything. They posted a photo of her writing in notes without actually writing on paper without any notes whatsoever. And of course, there's the fact that even Donald Trump called this out. She was wearing ear. She was wearing um headphones or earphones. Actually, that's actually what I should say. Earphones, but they are not connected to her own phone, which is completely and completely strange. It's self-evident that this photo was just staged. It was completely staged just to make it look like that Kamala Harris is supposedly doing the best that she can. She's focused on what's going on with Hurricane Helene. And the funny thing is that Donald Trump was the one who got there first, specifically in, I think it was in Asheville, and then he went down to Georgia, handing out supplies and cleaning supplies, fuel, food, water, clothes to the people, and it's kind of funny to me. In fact, it's also kind of funny that, especially with what I'm going to say right now, he has managed to, thanks to his GoFundMe, obtain nearly $5 million in relief aid from donations. $5 million. But soon enough, especially with today, Kamala Harris came over to North Carolina. Well, better late than never. And then announced that she's going to give people in North Carolina $750. One time. If I were to tell anyone, or to show anyone, what an out of touch person or a politician would be, it would be this moment. Although, to be fair, that's also the case with Joe Biden. Much like with how he responded with Maui, how he just decided to go to his Lake Tahoe vacation home for a whole week before inevitably being forced to go to Maui as a result of the fire. And what does he do? He gives a one-time payment of $700 to the families who were affected by the disaster. Mind you, I want you guys to understand this. A week before, he approved of a package of $2.6 billion to Ukraine. At this very moment, FEMA, or the Department of Homeland Security in general, is spending over $600 million to help illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants have been known to get $3,000 in a debit card just specifically for groceries, and $9,000 in the case of hotel expenditures. That's $12,000 for a month. But North Carolina only gets $750. Mind you, I want people to understand this. In low-income housing, especially with apartments here in the state of Washington, that's only enough to cover 2/3 of your rent for a month. 2/3. Meanwhile, you have the issue of electricity, you have the issue of internet, your own trying to obtain food, water, etc. And yet, that's all these people get from the federal government. And it doesn't help with Marcus announcing that apparently FEMA is going bankrupt and will not be having enough money in order to survive the entire hurricane season. Because, again, the money is being directed towards the migrants. How much of a slap in the face is that? How much of a slap in the face is that? When the people who are being severely affected by disaster, who happen to be American citizens, taxpayers, and they're giving smidgens while countries like Ukraine are given billions, and illegal migrants are given thousands of dollars, but you don't even get 1,000. It's insane. And by the way, I just want to further reiterate the situation with $750, because a lot of people have pointed this out. Apparently, $750 is only enough for groceries for 2 weeks for a family of 4. Just wow. This could not happen at a worse time for Kamala Harris, as well as for Biden, because, well, this is just going to stay in the people's minds. This is not like Maui or East Palestine. Don't get me wrong; those were major fuck-ups by the Biden-Harris administration. Absolute major fuck-ups that they tried to cover up and tried to sweep under the rug, but nonetheless has kept them. It was such bad situations that inevitably they had to show up at some point. Honestly, it took Joe Biden a year to get to East Palestine, but still. But here, with Hurricane Helene being compared to that of Hurricane Katrina in terms of devastation, apparently there's about $160 billion, supposedly, of damage being done. And their federal government is not really doing too much help for the people who are affected by this disaster. What does that send a message to you? That either, at best, Kamala Harris is incompetent. At worst, she's malicious and does not care. I mean, I don't. Either way, she's screwed with this bad image, with the fact that, again, Donald Trump was the first one to be there, and she's not really doing too much except giving $750 to families who are affected this disaster. I just don't know what to say in that regard. And again, this is going to be in people's minds. At this point, I believe that Georgia and North Carolina are for certain going for Trump. Because given the response, again, the response from Kamala Harris is not good. People have called her out on what she's been doing, and they're done. Which means that, again, with the Electoral College being that is, I mean, she's done in the South. She is completely done in North Carolina and in Georgia. Again, major key swing states that are needed for her to become president of the United States. Although, again, she's focusing on the Rust Belt states. But I would not be surprised if it does trickle upwards towards the Rust Belt states and potentially have an impact on her campaign. But again, who knows? We'll have to see until Election Day. What I do know is this will still be fresh in everybody's minds as they are going to be casting their ballot on November 5th. My name is Noam Meehan on The Arc Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, and share with friends. Also, if any issues or any comments that you should make in terms of how I should improve my video and my delivery, please post it in the comment section down below or directly message me. Thank you.
West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains.